After the latest entertaining meeting between the Tigers and Tennessee State, the popular series now sits in limbo as the HBCUs explore other possibilities. Memphis, Tennessee. If it were not for Jackson State's 59-3 annihilation of Florida A&M in the Orange Blossom Classic a week ago, many would have only the slightest glimpse of the man tucked inside of the know. 43 jersey on the football field. But among his teammates, kicker Alejandro Mata's presence is known. And his Hall of Fame coach, Deion Sanders, knows that better than anyone. Inside the Tigers locker room at the Dolphins Hard Rock Stadium, Sanders called on his freshman kicker to translate his congratulatory message to the team for an all-around dominant performance against the Rattlers. Mata, who speaks both English and Spanish, answered the call and even transcribed Sanders' request to play his theme music, a popular track from rapper Mystikal entitled Here I Go. But on Saturday, in JSU's 16-3 win against a gritty Tennessee State team seeking payback from the Tigers' domination in last year's Southern Heritage Classic, SHC, Mata was the most valuable piece in the Tigers' offense for more than 43 minutes in what could be the final clash between the historic HBCUs. They call special teams special, Sanders added. JSU's fireworks show that it produced on offense against FAMU was not on the menu this week like the sizzling smells of Southern barbecue fizzling out of grills, pots, and tents in the air around the tailgating section outside of Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. Instead, as 51,351 fans trickled inside the venue throughout the first half of the game, they witnessed TSU strike first with a field goal, Mata's first field goal attempt blocked, and JSU's Santee Marshall fumbled the ball in the end zone that was recovered by Tennessee State for a touchback. Copyright provided by Sports Illustrated. Jackson State put together a formidable defensive performance Saturday. Chris Day / the Commerical Appeal / USA Today Network. It was not the ideal way JSU hoped to start. And for Tennessee State head coach Eddie George, things were not perfect. But knowing that Shedeur Sanders, who posted video game production against FAMU's secondary a week ago, was not carving up TSU's defense like a 7-on-7 practice drill, it was a huge load of confidence for the team of the legendary NFL running back. We knew it was going to be a bend, but don't break mentality, George said after the game. In JSU's first 30 minutes of action, it was a classic case of top-notch red zone defense from TSU. Mata converted two short-distance field goals, 27 and 28-yarders, that came on two JSU offensive drives that combined for 25 plays and 111 yards while using 10-11 of game time in the second quarter. Like TSU's defense delivering timely stops, JSU's defensive unit stifled TSU's offense after its first drive of the game, holding Tennessee State to a combined 76 yards and 4 punts as it trailed JSU 6-3 at halftime. In a series that has resulted in both teams combining to average a total of more than 56 points in their previous meetings since 2010, this year's Classic was different. Seeking to add points and to break the game open, Jackson State marched 80 yards on 14 plays to Tennessee State's 1-yard line on its opening drive of the second half. TSU had delivered what could have been the game-changing moment with a goal line stand against JSU. However, Jackson State forced TSU to a quick 3-and-out before using a balance of runs and passes, setting up Mata for his third field goal of the contest, 9-3. But Tennessee State was still in striking distance. They recorded one when Davion Nash stripped the ball from JSU's Shane Hooks after a catch from Sanders in TSU's territory. With one score needed, everything seemed simple for TSU until it wasn't. Tennessee State, a team that had previously rushed for 290 yards against FCS Eastern Washington a week ago, gained minimal yardage on the ground. Penalties forced TSU to move backwards, and JSU landing one of its 8 sacks against TSU quarterback Draylen Ellis was nearly the final bow on the game. That is until Sanders dropped back and connected with Willie Gaines on a 27-yard strike down the left sideline for a touchdown on the ensuing drive, giving JSU the 16-3 advantage and putting the game away for good. We were one play away, one drive away from possibly going up 1 point in the game, George said. I have to remind myself that we have 22 new guys on our team. We are still learning each other. JSU held TSU to 2 rushing yards in the game and -5 yards on 27 possessions in the second half alone. But as Sanders entered the news conference after the game with Shedeur, defensive end Niles Gaddy, who posted 4-5 of the team's total of 8 sacks, and Mata, the game's MVP, he was grateful to leave Memphis with the win. Not taking anything away from Coach George, Sanders said. They are not saying team we played last year. We feel like we didn't play our best football in accounting for the program standards. Incorporating Sanders' mantra, the Tigers did not play their best yet found their way to another early victory this season. This one was certainly not. But with the win comes the elephant in the room, the future of the Southern Heritage Classic. While the game has been played since September 1990, Jackson State terminated its agreement to the Classic in February. The contract for the historic clash was not set to end until 2024. As fans parked on sidewalks, side streets, and at restaurant parking lots to enter the stadium confines, many donned shirts representing the iconic classic and their schools. Even more, as 2 women crossed the street in a rush to meet up with their friends, they wore shirts that read, "The Grand Finale" across the back. Copyright provided by Sports Illustrated. George and Sanders said the future of series isn't in their hands. Chris Day / the Commerical Appeal / USA Today Network. And while George and Sanders understand the pageantry and tradition that comes with HBCU classics, they also want their programs to benefit better financially. When asked if he wanted TSU to continue playing in the SHC, George offered that TSU's future in the event was not left to him. "I just play the teams that are on the schedule," he said. As for Sanders, like George, he can only make recommendations. "We got to do better business, whether we do it in Jackson, Mississippi, or Tennessee, I'm good. If you get the business right, well, do it here. I'm not coming down here and then need to stop to borrow some gas money on the way back. I'm looking out for the best interest of our kids." When SHC founder Fred Jones initially created the weekend of festivities that includes the SHC, some people doubted if it would still exist today. "Are you sure that you can pull this off?" Jones recalled. "But I always felt strongly that we had the right ingredients for the classic. I've never met a songwriter who didn't believe that a song that he or she wrote was not going to be a #1 hit. I always felt like it, successive event, would happen, but more than anything, as Jones says, the SHC's future is not his decision. He hopes the event will maintain its family tradition going forward if it remains. This game is like Thanksgiving," Jones said. "It brings generations of people together. You can't put a value on that. If the last SHC has been played, the series ends with a defensive bout, another rich installment of HBCU culture, and a significant performance from a special kicker."